Hi there, I'm Paul Newsome, head coach at Swim Smooth. I'm here today to pose the question, what do you perceive to be an efficient freestyle swim stroke? Many of you would have spent a lot of time in the pool trying to develop an efficient freestyle stroke. You may have watched lots of videos, studied various books and articles, done a whole range of technique drills, and yet still don't feel as though you are swimming as fast as you potentially could do so. It is also common to hear from good swimmers who struggle to transfer their pool swimming abilities out into the open water for triathlon events or ocean swims. But why is this? When we think of an efficient freestyle swim stroke, it is only natural for us to look towards the Olympic champions for visual examples. However, if we take any major international swimming final, we will commonly see 8 different swimmers swimming with 8 subtly or even significantly different styles. And if you have an interest in triathlon, you're bound to have wondered why most of these elite triathletes swim with a completely different style to their pool counterparts. They just seem to be a lot more choppy, punchy, and with a much higher stroke rate. The question is then, how do these elite swimmers and triathletes make their stroke work for them? Why is it an efficient freestyle stroke? How can they all seem to swim so differently and yet all work so well? It is highly likely you've done a swim session where you've counted the number of strokes you take per length. This is often prescribed as a test of a swimmer's efficiency. The lower the stroke count, supposedly the more efficient the stroke. What if I then told you though that I had a swimmer who could swim 50 metres in around about 52 strokes? Would you think this swimmer is less efficient or more efficient than another swimmer who could swim the same distance in around about 38 strokes? Our common belief is that the most efficient swimmer is he or she who can take the least number of strokes per length. And yet, here is 2004 Olympic gold medalist Laura Manadou from France, competing in the women's 400 metre freestyle event. She is swimming with an average of 50 strokes per 50 metres, but with a massively high stroke rate of over 100 strokes per minute, even in a distance freestyle event. You may even remember back to the late 1980s when American freestyle specialist Janet Evans came to prominence, totally dominating the distance freestyle events for 2 full Olympiads. Janet Evans swam with a style very similar to Laura Manadou, with that classically high, choppy stroke rate. Not necessarily what we'd think of as a typically efficient freestyle swim stroke. And yet both these swimmers were competing and winning at the very highest level of the sport. For Janet to swim 800 metres in 8 minutes and 16 seconds, or for Laura to swim 400 metres in 4 minutes and 2 seconds, they must be doing something right in the water. They must be efficient. And yet, each of them is swimming with less than 1 metre per stroke. Therefore, we can clearly say that efficiency in the water cannot be measured by the number of strokes you take per length by itself. That would be a gross oversimplification of the freestyle stroke. Let's go back to that classic stroke count session. Have you ever done one of these sessions and actually left the pool feeling a little bit dejected that you had one of the highest number of strokes per lap, even if you're one of the fastest swimmers in your group? Here's one such swimmer that we coach in Perth, Sally Scaffidi. Sally was once told by her old swim coach that during these stroke count sessions she was taking way too many strokes. Apparently her stroke rate was too high and she was simply inefficient in the water. Sally recently led out the long course triathlon world championships here in Perth by over a minute and actually featured in the top 10 of all the female swimmers, including the professionals. For her to be swimming at this level, she cannot have an inefficient freestyle swim stroke. Looking at her here from this angle, you can see that she's actually working with the water nice and smoothly. A lot of people think when they actually lift their stroke rate higher that they'll be fighting the water, and this is one of the fears that most people have about having this slightly shorter, faster stroke. As we can see with Sally though, she is making this work very, very well for her. So, what are we saying here then? That everyone should swim like Sally, Janet Evans or Laura Manadou? Absolutely not. Far from it, in fact. There are just as many swimmers out there, perhaps even yourself, who will actually naturally develop a longer, smoother freestyle stroke, and that will work very, very well for them. However, if you have found that you have excelled with a higher stroke rate, especially in the open water, then don't throw this away. This is a good strength of yours and will continue to be an advantage in the open water. Now, let's look at the completely other end of the spectrum. Here we have Athens Olympian Jono van Hazel demonstrating a classic smooth freestyle stroke.